Hey guys, red and black greetings. This is Flamengo, very good. Welcome to Paparazzo Rubro-Negro channel, newcomers. I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below. Enable the bell notification and like the video. We're here thanks to the Million Picks sponsorship. Look, this month it's the New Year's Picks. Check it out. You're securing your Benefits Club points, and you can exchange them for products and experiences. Besides that, you get the chance to win, man, a lot of prizes. There are instant prizes. Right when you join, you already get an instant prize of up to 100,000 reais. Yeah, you could be winning right there. Scratch and win, and the money goes straight to your account. In addition to exchanging products, you can also enter 3 prize draws for 1 million each. On New Year's Eve, right? Because that's the special one, you'll already be taking part with the chance to win several prizes of 100,000 and even 5 million and the rest. Oh, and the other 2 million, that's on January 2nd. You also have the chance to take part in the 2 million reais prize. So there are a lot of prizes in the Million Picks. And of course, a benefits club where you can exchange for products, experiences, but you also have this extra chance to win cash prizes. Well, let's go. We got here yesterday, man. Our tip was spectacular, right? It's impressive that we managed to do it, right? I won, you won. That's right. I cashed out. And those who did great. Those who waited lost as Vasco scored in stoppage time. Our tip was spot on. Everything, including the number of corners, was accurate just as I predicted. Play responsibly for 18 plus only. Fun isn't an investment. I want to let you know, right? If you're looking to lose weight in a healthy way, right, without hair loss and all that, I lost 74 kilos, have maintained it, and now need to gain muscle mass to keep it up. So carrying my son, yeah. By the way, is Otto healthy? Thank God we get here, man. And remember that Mais Cabelo is everywhere. There's a Mais Cabelo near you, all over Brazil. Get your free evaluation right now. Remember, it's really important to do your weight loss with Mais Cabelo because you lose weight without losing hair, okay? Look for the Mais Cabelo QR code on the screen. They have years of experience and are leaders in the field, man. Hair transplant is weight loss, man. It's a very serious company, so it's really worth checking out. And most importantly, they've been with us here for years, right? And I also want to remind you that you can still secure your spot at the Intercontinental Cup, okay? You can guarantee the final with a refund, but you won't need it. But you can look for Haroldo's Caravan because they'll do the best job for you, right? There are options for a land package, a package with tickets and travel, so you can secure everything with Haroldo's Caravan. Let's go. We're going to bring you the press conference with Coach Felipe Luiz. Felipe Luiz spoke to our team, spoke to all the press just now, and talked about Luiz Henrique, right? About Luiz Henrique's statement, he criticized the Brazilian press, which criticized Flamengo's participation in the Club World Cup. I said Flamengo did well and played well against Bayern, leaving a good impression. But it seems some Brazilian media prefer to only criticize Flamengo. I didn't realize Flamengo would dominate and win everything that year. They chose to criticize Flamengo and praise Fluminense, who had the easy group, right? I'm not saying Fluminense did badly, that Fluminense wasn't good. Fluminense did well, but they got a really easy group. Those guys were really so-so, right? Inter Milan, those guys were just so-so. Flamengo got a tough draw, beat the champions Chelsea, and left a good impression. We're going to show this here. We're also going to bring in Felipe, talking about the pitch issue, talking about Pedro. Felipe Luiz talked about Pedro, right? Many are asking if Pedro will play against Pyramids or just in the final. Felipe understands that the game of the moment is the semi-final and will try to give Pedro some minutes. And Flamengo knows that nothing is guaranteed, that they're going to play a final, so it's important. That statement from Felipe Luiz is about Pedro, right? He's saying that it is. There's optimism Pedro will return for the semi-final. And so we have some other information to share with you. Look, here's some important information that a source connected to Flamengo's board has denied. The news that Flamengo is arranging Matias's loan to get him more playing time and adjust the payroll. Well, Flamengo hasn't made that decision yet, okay? They made a point of denying this news about Matias leaving on loan. Vinha, okay, that's not true. Obviously Flamengo, right? Felipe always works with two fullbacks. We've already noticed that. But things will be decided now at the end of the season after Felipe Luiz's contract renewal. Flamengo will discuss everything. They're already discussing some topics. But this issue about Vinha hasn't been brought up, and the player wants to stay at Flamengo. Okay, guys, yeah, there's also another situation here to bring to you that Besiktas from Turkey is looking to sign players from Flamengo, okay? Is it? They want to hire Coach Tite, right? For the season. 2026, yeah. Adenor even indicated that he would like to have some big name reinforcements and mentioned names well known to the Flamengo fans like Danilo, Alexandro, and Everton. Cebolinha? Okay, so the information from Jorge and Nicola is that Tite is a name that's interesting to Besiktas from Turkey, right? That Tite's name is what interests Besiktas from Turkey, and that Tite is close to signing with Besiktas from Turkey. There would be suggestions of names like Danilo, Alexandro, and Everton Cebolinha, but Flamengo won't sell, man. Flamengo won't sell. Flamengo won't lose three players at once. Alexandro, Danilo, and Everton. Cebolinha, right? Besiktas can forget about it, okay? We also have some important transfer market news here, which Jose Boto will have to deal with. Foreign clubs like Benfica are also competing. The Portuguese, just like him, right? I'm Portuguese too, you know? Today, I'm also Portuguese. I'm a Portuguese citizen. It's about Flamengo's new signing, right? Vitão. Flamengo is trying to sign Vitão. The defender has caught the interest of Benfica, so Benfica is now competing with Flamengo for Vitão, right? According to GE, the Portuguese club plans to sign him in the second half of this European season. Yeah, the situation is concerning. Flamengo considers Vitão an important opportunity to strengthen their defense. Is that so? Inter is sticking to their position. They don't want to sell him. For less than 10 million euros, about 63 million reais, the amount is considered high by Flamengo. All right, so Benfica is in the mix, and Flamengo is preparing a new bid for Vitão. Goal reports Raiza Simplicio provided this information. His contract is set to end in December 2026, so the timing becomes an advantage for Flamengo in the negotiation, right? Flamengo knows that this is the last moment for International to negotiate the player. So, his short contract until the end of 2026 helps Flamengo in this negotiation. So, is Flamengo going to make a new attempt? Inter stated they'll only consider offers over 10 million euros, not lower ones. The amount is considered high by Flamengo. This information is from Raiza Simplicio at Goal. Yeah, we have another important piece of information here, right? Ângelo Furtado, the Ângelo Furtado channel, and also Luiz Antônio Rubro-Negro, right? Should we send them a shout out? They brought information that Flamengo already has an option for the Vitão situation in case Vitão doesn't come. Flamengo is watching defender Sebastian Cáceres, 26 from America of Mexico, as a backup if talks for Vitão stall in the coming days. The Uruguayan is waiting. Internally, he is well evaluated by the football department. However, there is one point that goes against Flamengo. The club is already working at the limit of foreign players in the squad, which makes it difficult to bring in another player from abroad. Well, at this moment, and with the Brazilian Football Confederation wanting to further reduce the number of foreign players per match, even so, the name is still being considered and could gain traction depending on how the talks for Vitão unfold. So is that information from Luiz Antonio Rubro-Negro and from the Angelo Furtado channel? So this is very important information for us to bring regarding the transfer market, for us to call the press conference, bring one last update here, and then call the press conference. Varela said that Uruguayans like to imagine themselves at Penharol, but he praised Arrascaeta. At Flamengo, like Zico and Yeah, he said yes. Arrascaeta is always very decisive in difficult moments. He played a match where the first half was really tough for us, but the second half was a different story. We made adjustments during halftime. This year was one of Arrasca's best, given his goal tally. It makes him seem like a striker. He has been very important. I've been with Flamengo for years, but I believe this is his best season yet. Even if it's 26 as well, right? In Brazil, Georgia is at Zico's level. I don't know if people in Uruguay know what Zico means to Flamengo, but here they compare him to Zico. Arrascaeta is already there. I said it the other day. He's already second there behind Zico. In front of Arrascaeta, there's only Zico. Even with the number of titles he's won for being decisive in Uruguay, they don't really grasp what he means here, but he's showing it. He's showing it. And the last match already proved that. I have 2 years left on my Flamengo contract. I'd like to finish my career at Penharol, but the future is uncertain. It's clear to me that I'll spend 2 years here, and only then as a Penharol fan. I played there when I was young, but I feel this obligation inside. Maybe in 2 years I'll renew my contract. That's it. It's something open when we get together and plan, but the careers are completely different. One moment we're here, and tomorrow, who knows? It would be very easy to reassure the fans by saying that we will go, but I prefer to leave it open. So he was talking about playing for Penharol, which is the dream of these Uruguayan players who support Penharol. And that's normal. We have to take it as something normal. Asked who he'd like to convince to join Penharol, also fans of the club, Varela named several. The three of us, Varela de la Cruz, Arrascaeta, Facundo Pelistri, Brian Rodriguez, Facundo Torres, and Piqueires. When we all get together and talk, we always mention how beautiful that would be, right? The guys all play together at Penharol, then most come to Flamengo, so nearly everyone is already together there, right? So now I'm going to follow the press conference of Coach Felipe Luiz. Let's go.
I can't reveal anything to you, right? No, of course we will. We still have today and part of tomorrow to decide. Because of the players' recovery, we know that we have a team where some players are already over 33 years old. With that, the recovery after 3 days isn't complete, right? Our opponent, yes, had much more rest to play this game. We didn't, and we have to take the physical aspect into account. We always have to try to find a competitive, solid team, and at the same time, one that's physically fresh so we can compete. This game is definitely going to be difficult. As I said in the last press conference, it's strange because everywhere Flamengo goes in South America, the fans always fill the stadium, right? There were many finals, including the Club World Cup mid-year, but especially the Libertadores final, followed by the Club World Cup. Many fans had to wait for the Libertadores final result before making plans. And it's not exactly cheap to come all the way here. So we understand that not all of our fans are here, but we know they're supporting us all over the world, in Brazil. So we feel them cheering for us. And about the striker, Mael was the key player in the Ovali match, and maybe he's the most decisive player for Pyramides. But it's a strong team, and it's not only about that player, right? So they have a very well-organized defensive phase. He's a coach who knows this defensive phase very well. From what I could analyze, it's a team that defends very well, understands coverage and line compactness very well. So without a doubt, Ovali, which is one of the best coached teams in Arabia, had a hard time breaking through their defensive block. Therefore, we have to be very well positioned tactically on the field first. But the main thing is that the players have that creativity and boldness and are ready for tomorrow's game.
Felipe here on the other side, Monique Daniello from TNT Sports. I'm going to repeat the topic of the question from before the game against Cruz Azul, but now from a different perspective, because yesterday was a good surprise. I think for all the Flamengo fans, seeing Pedro out there on the field working for a while, right? While we were at the training session, he was with the group working with the ball. I wanted to understand what the outlook is for him right now, if he's able to play a few minutes or if that would only be for a possible final. How is his recovery now that he's practicing with the group? Thanks.
Well, first of all, it's really good to have Pedro back with us on the field and feeling good. You could already see yesterday in training and in the previous days as well that he came back with the same confidence, the same joy, and the same drive he had before his arm injury. His importance to the team and our plan for him will depend on his progress day by day. Today there's another test so he can see how he feels, how he will be compared to his teammates in today's training. So we can decide if tomorrow he can have some minutes or not. My expectation and hope is that everything goes well in today's training and that he can, yes, have some minutes in tomorrow's game. If you look at Flamengo 15 years ago or 20 years ago, it was a club that, first of all, wasn't even respected when it came to paying its debts. So today, this whole process of strengthening the brand started with seriousness in the club's management, which continues to this day, with this internal organization of Flamengo Club. This increasing professionalism every day conveys seriousness, and the most important thing of all is knowing how to win. The club has achieved much success and many titles recently, but I think staying grounded is most important. Humility, knowing that soccer is very cyclical and that this is not the time to be arrogant and think we're better than anyone else. Otherwise, it was a very hard and tough journey to achieve, to reach the point that Flamengo has reached, both administratively and in sports. And now is the time to be more humble than ever, because the hardest thing in soccer is to stay at the top of the elite. No, it's not fair, but it is. Who am I to complain about this wonderful opportunity to be here at the World Cup, competing against these great teams? But of course, we know that the European team doesn't run the risk of being eliminated in a semi-final against any team. They aren't as fatigued as we are by the final. But at the same time, it's a great privilege to be able to compete in this tournament, no matter what the format is. So let's enjoy this opportunity we have as much as possible. It's not up to me to decide, it's the football bosses who decide, but Pyramids and Awali played this game in September, right? It could have been. The truth is that this year's schedule was absolutely crazy. We played 75 or 76 games. What a privilege to make it that far and have so many games, because that means we made it to the finals of the tournaments. But it's really hard to find time to fit another tournament in the middle, right? So I believe, right, that Federación Internacional de Fútbol Association did what it could. Confederación Sudamericana de Fútbol did what it could, considering that the Brazilian and South American calendars have so many games. I think the solutions for the future will work themselves out, right? They've already started to reduce the number of dates for the state championships. I think that in the next few years, the tendency is for things to get better. There's no way, neither mentally nor physically, that anyone can endure this kind of punishment, which is playing 6 or 7 tournaments in a year, counting national team games. So I believe this aspect will improve in Brazil.
Felipe, good afternoon. Marinho from Litoral News. You mentioned after the last match that the emptier stadium could be one of the reasons the team made some mistakes on the field. Did you talk to the players about this issue, and based on that, this game will probably have a bit more of a crowd? Egypt is a bit closer to Qatar here. Pyramid fans should attend. Do you believe that even with more fans, even if they're supporting the other team, it's also important to help the players stay more focused on the field?
In the second half, the players have already adapted to this situation, both to the ball and to the emptier stadium, both to the speed of the pitch, which is amazing. This pitch is amazing. They all say that. So I don't believe it will influence anything. They already know the tournament. They already know what the stadium is like. They already know what the pitch is like. They already know what the ball is like, how it might be. So we hope that there won't be any kind of external factor that could influence the players' decision-making.
Felipe, on your right here, good afternoon. Gabriel Orphan from Placa Magazine. Felipe, still talking about Pedro, I want to use the case of Leo Ortiz. Just recently, as an example, Ortiz. He hadn't played since the end of October, and even though he was progressing in training, he didn't get any minutes on the field. Until the game against Cruz Azul, when you put him in as a starter, he didn't play in the other games, and then he was already starting against Cruz Azul. In a possible final, do you think there's a chance you would start the game with Pedro, even if he doesn't get any minutes? For example, in tomorrow's game? Like with Ortiz, when you started him against Cruz Azul? Thanks.
Ortiz had 3 weeks of training. That's the first thing. And second, there's the semifinal. And you're already thinking about another game. I can't think like that. First, let's take care of this game here. For me, it's the most important and the hardest one. Then we'll think about what will happen in the final. If we make it through.
Felipe Renato Senesi from Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, Brazil. You've often discussed video analysis. After the Cruz Azul game, which analyzes parameters, I wanted to know how you spend the 3 days between matches. The next day, do you watch the whole match once, twice? At what point do you start watching videos of Pyramides and not Cruz Azul? To give tips to your players, do you separate video clips to talk individually with the players, or is it more collective with the whole group? And another question, still on the same topic. How is it, did you develop this method yourself? Because you're a new coach, just over a year as a manager, did you take a bit from each coach you had as a player? Or is it your own method?
It's a good method, don't get me wrong, but I prefer not to share too much about our methodology, how it works. But what I can say is that after the game, there's always a heavy emotional and mental weight, a lot of adrenaline. It takes a few hours before I can focus and start working. But there's a whole team of analysts and assistants who study and actually start the research beforehand. So by the time I manage to recover enough to sit in front of the screen and study, everything is already prepared for me to study. And sometimes it's 5 games, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 10. It depends on the opponent. It depends on how long the coach has been with the team. So it all depends. It's very hard to say how this analysis is done, but it really depends on the opponent, and especially the short time you have between one game and another. How is it now? Everything must be quick since it's only 2 days. But then, like I said, the team gives us the support we need so we can break everything down as much as possible for the players.
Felipe here, Richard Souza from Television Global. Good afternoon, everyone. Following the latest Champions League round, Paris Saint-Germain coach Luiz Enrique was questioned about the Intercontinental Cup, and he made it clear that he wouldn't like to face Flamengo in the final. According to him, it's because he remembers what Flamengo did at the Club World Cup in the United States. First, how does it feel for you as the team's coach to know that you left such a good impression on such a great coach in world football? And according to your analysis, the team has changed a lot compared to the Club World Cup. Players left, players arrived. What are the differences between these teams? Thank you.
We impress world football, but not Brazilian football, right? I don't forget the massacre that happened after the Bayern game. Amazingly, Flamengo left a good impression worldwide by playing good football and showing they tried to play. But unfortunately, in Brazil, only the result matters, right? So Luis Enrique said he doesn't want to face Flamengo, and Flamengo also doesn't want to face Paris Saint-Germain. They won't have the semi-final to put their spot in the final at risk. I already know Luis Enrique well and have played against his teams multiple times. Now he signed, I think, the most beautiful moment of his career as a coach. A masterpiece is this Paris Saint-Germain team that he created. It's unique in the world, and we all admired it so much last season. And it's even a team that's impossible to copy because there are so many unique things within this squad that all you can do is admire it, right? So a well-deserved champion, and first play a great game, try to advance to be able to enjoy this moment, which is this very important Club World Cup, and then about... Wait, sorry, no, yes, okay. At Flamengo it changed, mainly losing our captain, who was Gerson and Wesley, our right side, and we had to reinvent ourselves within the competition itself, both in the Brazilian League and in the Libertadores. without those two players who were key pieces, and that's what changed the most in our team from then until now. It's tough to predict where teams will compete. For example, I thought Mirassol would fight relegation, but they became one of the top teams in the Brazilian Championship. So it's not possible to say what place they would be in, but what I can say that in the defensive phase of this team, it's one of the best in the Brazilian Championship, or would it be among the organization and strength of the Argentinians, for example, help them defend and cover lots of ground. Therefore, it makes it very difficult for you to break through their defensive block, which is very organized and very compact. But mainly they have very clear ideas about who needs to cover, who needs to mark, who. That means only the best teams can score against this Pyramids team. This tournament is tough, but the hardest part is just getting here. For me, it's very difficult to get here and compete in this tournament because you have to qualify. That's it. You had to overcome many challenges and win the Libertadores during the season. It's very complicated to get here, and then obviously it is. The gap between European clubs and the rest of the elite is getting bigger and bigger. In a game, anything can happen. We went into extra time against Liverpool, Palmeiras went into extra time against Chelsea, and anything can happen. Of course, the European clubs will always be the favorites because they have huge financial power. Well, Pyramids tries to play. They have players with really good skills, but what I see as their team's strength is the way they defend. That, for me, is the great strength of this team. So I expect a game where we'll have to be very patient to break through their defensive block.